Alrighty, good evening, Tigercast fans. Welcome to a bit of a random Monday night stream. I know we are usually in the Monday night time slot, but it's obviously the off season, so things do slow down a little bit. But I thought we'd do a bit of a random one tonight because I was just racking my brain with some best 23 sort of selection stuff. So I thought we'd open up the floor and see if we can put together some type of a best 23 because I think the coaches are going to have some troubles come round one, assuming we've got a fully fit list, of course. And I know, we've said it before, it might seem a little bit crazy saying that we might have some selection headache issues given that we were second last, but it's, I suppose, the byproduct of a whole heap of youngsters coming through. The age-old, everyone's trained the house down. I know every club's got everyone trained the house down, but people have been more and more impressed by what the youngsters have been dishing up on the training track. And it's sort of difficult not to get excited about what 2026 might look like. I know maybe by end of the season it might not have translated to all the wins and losses we were kind of hoping for, but I think it might be a slightly more enjoyable roller coaster ride than what 2025 was. I think we're going to see some better footy. But welcome to everybody who's tuning in. I am using OBS tonight just as a side note, so I won't be able to pull comments up on screen, but I will obviously mention your comments and talk to everybody in chat. So Dabo, welcome. Yellow and Black, roll on March, agree. Vault Boy, welcome. How are you? Hope you're doing well. But yeah, pre-season's been interesting so far. It's been good to see some of the training reports come out, especially from Caesar, who does amazing work on Punt Road End. Lawler's looking solid. Seth Campbell seems to be doing okay. He obviously got the award on the preseason camp, so that's obviously a fairly meaningful thing for the playing group and the coaching staff. Lord, welcome. Hoops, welcome. You're hitting the gym, Shan. All the players are very good either way. 8 to 10 wins in 2026 would be great. Yeah, I'm going to do a video on it at some point, but I saw Fox Footy put out what would be a pass mark for 2026 for each club, and they had us down for 8 wins. I'm a bit torn on it. Like, 8 still, I don't know, at this stage of our development, 8 still kind of feels a bit lofty. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I guess I'm trying to think back to the wins that we had, and I know we were a couple of games short from maybe pulling off 8 wins if we had kicked a couple of extra goals against the Giants and a couple of others. But I sort of think, we beat the Gold Coast. That's probably not going to happen again. I wouldn't have thought. You just can't see that happening on Dimmer's watch. Carlton in round 1. I mean, they've lost some players. They could be gettable again. I just think if they skip out to elite again, I can't see a world where they let us overrun them by 40 points again. So I just feel like we picked up a few more wins last year that we definitely weren't expected to, and I'm not sure if we'd be able to replicate it. And we're still a young side. We've added more youth, obviously, this year with the 4 draftees. Not that they're all going to play throughout the course of the season. But I reckon 8 for me would be like our absolute peak if we were to hit that. I still think somewhere between 5 and 6, 5 and 7 might be a bit more realistic. But there's obviously a bit to play. And like I said, even if we were to get less wins or the same amount of wins as 2025 in 2026, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because as long as our percentage is improved, as long as we've shown some clear progression and improvement on the footy field, I think you can still definitely call it a successful year. I do worry there's going to be a lot of people who get hung up on the win-loss column. I just don't think it's as relevant at this point of our rebuild as what it might be in, say, 2 years' time. For sure, 2027, you'd want to start to see a bit more traction, to the 8 to 10 win mark area. But for 2026, I don't think it's that necessary. We just want to see good, solid gameplay, a bit more of a defined game plan, and some free-flowing football with a better percentage. If our percentage ends up in the 80s, I think that's a pretty successful year, all things considered. No, I haven't been, Hoops, but we have been doing a little bit better food-wise, so I don't know, maybe it's something there. I do need to start doing something, though. Even though my knee's cooked, I need to get a bit more active again. It's it's getting it's getting tougher chasing kids around, so I need to rectify that. One cow, happy with 7 wins. Lord, is 10th man achievable? Could you imagine? Could you imagine? It would be kind of funny, wouldn't it, if we did Jag 10? Not going to lie. Volboy, 6+ wins for you as a pass. I think I kind of sit about there as well. That's where I kind of sit too. Shannon, 8 would be way overs for us. I agree. I think it would be our absolute maximum. Yeah. And look, we've got a favourable draw, so that definitely helps. But yeah, it'll be a testing year. Widescreen, welcome. Yeah, it's one of those tricky ones, 1Cow, isn't it? I sort of agree that 4 to 5 wins is probably what the minimum requirement would be, you would think. But I've said this as well, that there is the distinct chance that we could play better football in 2026 and not win as many games because other teams have also improved, but we're just still a bit further behind in the food cycle and trying to work our way up to get to their level. So it is possible that we may lose more than what we did, but still play better football. And that might be hard to, I suppose, compute. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Yellow and Black told my mate yesterday we'll beat his Carlton side. Us 8 to 10 wins. Oh, them 10 to 6 to 10. What do you reckon we'll beat them by? I tell you what, it would be fascinating. It would be enthralling. It would be absolute chaotic scenes at the MCG if we knock the Blues off in back-to-back opening rounds in 2 years where we shouldn't be remotely close to it. It would be very, very funny. Rusty, just want to see a better game plan. And I think that's naturally going to occur. And that's why I've been a little bit of a staunch defender of the club and Uze in this spot, because I just don't believe it's possible or probable to have been able to teach players a game plan in one off season. It's just not doable. So on that front, I'm happy to give the club a year or two to add the layers, but you want to see progression. If we don't see progression this year, then it's a little bit of red flag. But I feel like if you look at how we've drafted, and if you look at kind of what they're trying to replicate on the training track, it does feel like it's aiming towards a faster game plan. Hopefully that's what translates. I just don't think the chip game style suits us. I'm not sure. I'm pretty confident we don't have the skill set to execute that like what Hawthorn used to do. And I just sort of, I've often felt like that the clubs wanted to shift away from the chaos game style because it was too reminiscent of the Dimmer era. But the reality is the chaos game style is probably still better suited to us, as it is for a lot of clubs. And there's no shame of doing that, but you can still tweak it. I don't think people are going to think, oh, he's just using the old game plan. You can still modify it. So hopefully we can get a bit more chaos back into our game. We've got the fleet-footedness that we've drafted. We've still got some within our own ranks. And I think it's just time to unleash the shackles a little bit and let the boys run. What else we got? Widescreen, don't think it matters on percentage or wins if majority of the young kids are having significant exposure. I mean, that's a good third point as well, Widescreen. And there's definitely an element of that, isn't there, that I think we'll naturally get that exposure into the young kids, and that's what this next exercise will be about, trying to pick a 23. But you're right. I mean, I sort of agree with you. It almost that's the overarching piece, isn't it? But we've got to get these kids to that next level, and with that will come some bad results. We know that, but you would still like to jag a few wins, I suppose. It's going to be interesting to find the balance. Dabo, I wouldn't be surprised if we finished top. The baby Tiger Cubs, I've seen. Was it Rational Roman who wrote that previously? Paulie, how are you? 6 wins and 80+ percentage. That's not a bad pass mark. I can jump on board for that. I think that would be a pretty good season. And like, I don't want people to pile in and say, oh, well, you're accepting mediocrity with 6 wins, but it's just the reality of where we're at. And I think, a lot of you here understand that too. Carlton Richmond should be twice a year widescreen. I know we kind of missed out last year, didn't we? Lord, are other teams falling off though? And that's probably the other $1 million question, isn't it? I mean, Carlton, are they going to fall off? It's hard to tell. I know they lost Kerno. I know they lost to Koning. Pitnet's not a bad ruckman. De Koning's probably better, you would say. They've still got majority of their backline. I know Silvani left as well. They've still got Harry Mackay. They've still got Cripps. They're getting Jagger Smith, who's going to be essentially a first-year player. So you're not sure what to expect with Jagger. They've obviously brought in a few new players as well from other clubs. I think they'll be okay. I don't think I don't think they'll win enough games to play finals, but they should be still further ahead than what we are, that they should be able to account for us, if that makes sense. Yeah, Port Adelaide, they could. I mean, Essendon could be one. Melbourne, yeah, you're right. I mean, to your point, Lord, there's teams that could definitely have off years, and that's where we're going to capitalise. So, Mark, 5 wins plus a percentage of 80 plus. We'll be happy with that, and a quicker game plan. Yep, that's fair call. Would be happy with that. Leo, Richmond social media released a clip of Jack Ross mic'd up, and he shouted he's got 10 goals to Zane Piker. What do you mean? What was the context? He's got 10 goals. Oh, okay, right. As if they were doing a drill or something. Okay, I'm with you now. I've read that completely wrong, Leo. I'll have to watch the video. Paul, to improve our wins, do you think we need to tag the opposition's best? We always have. Just let them run free. Well, we sort of pitched... Uze spoke about it in that presser in the last round, that you've essentially got to make a call. Do you use one of your players, let's say it's Jack Ross for argument's sake, do you use Jack Ross to take up a position in the middle to tag the opposition best player? Or do you put another youngster in there like a Lawler or a Houghton to give them exposure? Like, it sounds like we're reluctant, it sounds like we won't do both. Like, we won't put Ross and someone else in there. We're either going to tag or we're either going to give the kids exposure. And the club, rightly or wrongly, depending on how you want to view it, I suppose, the club they went down the path predominantly of giving the exposure to the young player rather than tagging the opposition player. Maybe you could maybe the young player in there could do the job, so they kind of get a double learning. They can follow a good play to the contest. It just doesn't seem like that they buy into the tagging philosophy. They would rather our guys learn our game style. And yeah, like I said, there'll be most definitely a wider range of views on whether that's right or wrong, I guess. Apps to have all games kicking a minimum of 5 goals, under 5. Yeah, that's actually a good point as well, Apps. That's a really good point. And so to sort of add on to that, I was kind of getting a little bit annoyed at the end of the season with the amount of goalless quarters. I just think in modern football, it still, in my mind, just seems really far-fetched to have a goalless quarter with sort of how momentum swings, and the ball should typically end up down in your forward line at some point. So I kind of agree. You want to be, the average score you want to be seeing in that 60 to 70 mark rather than the 40 to 50. And yeah, more than 5 goals a game. And most definitely for me, making sure we're kicking at least a goal a quarter. That would be nice. That is a low bar, I'm not going to lie. But it's one of those things you've got to tick off. You just got to tick it off. Going long and direct is how we win flags. Got to do it quickly though. If you're going to go long quickly. Give our guys half a chance to win a contest, I reckon. Yeah, Tom Burton looks okay. It's going to be interesting. What does everyone think in chat? We've obviously got Tom Burton and the big K, Special K. One ruckman, one's a halfback, sort of smaller midfielder halfback player. What do you think we need? I mean, as it sits right now, I'd be more tempted to go towards the big K as a project ruckman. And I know he's not going to have any influence on what we do in 2026 and potentially even 2027. But because he's just so, I suppose, raw and new to the game, there's a bit of upside there. He's got great athletic traits. Like he actually moves, in a lot of ways, he moves very similar to CDT, if we're being realistic, in terms of his times and his testing, all that. I'm not sure what his endurance test was like there. That's probably the only thing I don't know. But I'm actually kind of leaning towards, the big K. It might take, it's a slow burn. You know, we've had obviously Kalina on the list for a little while prior to being delisted recently as a bit of a slow burn. But you look at sort of the two as raw prospects, and Big K's already got a bit more of a natural footy ability. It seems a natural kick of the ball, reads the play reasonably well, has played on the wing too. So he's got a bit of variety about him. And look, we'll still have to probably trade him for a ruckman at some stage. I just think for a project player, it's not a bad option. And like I said in the video, could you imagine if he becomes somewhere near CDT and we got him for a train-on pick? Jesus, wouldn't that be funny? Yeah, both would be nice. One cow, we should be very competitive against Carlton, Essendon, North Melbourne, Port, Saints, and West Coast. I would agree with all of them except St Kilda. And Port and Melbourne are hard. You just don't know what they're going to be like. I mean, the Saints, really, with what they've done in the off-season, if they aren't in the top 8, to me, that's a failed year. That would be a horrible year for them. And for some reason, even before they've traded in all of these players, they've always had our measure for some reason, haven't they? Even when we were winning flags, they'd still be the team that belted us during the year. It was quite remarkable. But those other teams, agree. And we play some of them twice too, which is nice. Yeah, it's going to be, in Greystoke, there's going to be some hard decisions made at the end of the year. I mean, 19 players, I think 20 players actually, including Patrick Rechko, out of contract is a phenomenal amount. And I suppose it happens for a reason, I guess. There's a reason why we're in this spot. And yeah, it just puts a lot of heat on the players to perform, which is good. Damien, 23 games, win between 6 and 10, being games a bit longer, increase our percentage by 15 to 25%, kick an average score between 65 and 85 points. Hey, I think that's all fair and reasonable, Damien. I think there's nothing wrong with those metrics whatsoever. Don't mind it. We need Kraz. Yeah, we need the big Kraz. Special K. A lot of love for the Special K. A lot of love. Chris Ward, you're a Bomber supporter. I love watching this stuff. I appreciate it, mate. Thank you for jumping in and having a chat. The Bombers pre-season's looking pretty good. And I say that legitimately. I'm not taking the piss. I follow, obviously, Fiona with Bomber Banter and Scooter on Twitter, so seeing all of their updates, it seems like fitness-wise anyway, they're smashing things out. And I do feel horribly for Nick Martin as well. That was just real shit news. No one deserves to be injured, especially re-injured after coming back from sitting out for that long. It's horrible, and hopefully he gets back very, very soon. Was watching the mic'd up, Vold Boy, so watching the mic'd up video during dinner with the family, and Ross said that's our fearless leader about Taranto. You reckon that's the captain? So, okay, this is interesting, because last year, we as in the club, did the exact same thing. If you'll remember, Tim Taranto was essentially our poster boy last year. He was on the front of everything, the headline of every video, and when we did a live or a video ourselves in relation to the captaincy, pretty much everybody was had it. They were certain was the word. They were almost certain that Taranto was going to be captain based on how everything had been played out across the club socials and things like that. But it didn't happen. The players voted, and to be on record, I'm happy the players voted Nank. I thought he was excellent. But yeah, there will come a point where it's got to swap over. There will come a point. And look, I'm just glad that he's leading the young kids. It would have been a hard pill to swallow with what he came to the club expecting and then what ended up happening. So to then take on this newfound role, I guess, is really, really good. Samson Ryan is contracted till 2027. So he's still got another couple of years. I'm still blindly backing him in this year to show something. I've committed to that hill, so I've got to die on it now. So hopefully Samson can help prove me right. Hawks, I'll get to that in a second, my friend. I'll bring that up in a sec. Who has a breakout year this year? I don't want to steal Grok's thunder, but the more I see and hear of Jonty Fall, the more I'm excited about what he's going to do in 2026. I mean, we know what Sammy Lawler's going to do. We know, well, we kind of expect Tash Houghton to have another good year as well. And I think Tash Houghton could quite conceivably win the Rising Star. That's how good I think he'll be. But I just can't shake this feeling that Jonty Fall is going to, I don't know, he's just going to lift a bit in the forward line. There's just something about him. It's not the sexiest type of football, but it's grit, it's grunt, determination, all of those type of things. And we just need him to convert better. I think he's going to find he's going to have a lot of chances this year or next year. If we can get him to 25 or 30 goals, and again, I know that might be a really lofty goal, but that would be a really big milestone to be able to convert those goals and get to that point. So I'm kind of backing Jonty in. And I do like Harry Armstrong too. I think they're going to be a good 1-2 combo. And I really loved reading Caesar's training report today. that Jonty and Harry were working really well in unison in the match sim drill, because that's our future right there. So I thought that was really good. Did the Special K impact sims? I don't think it will, Leo. Not for the very short term. Because, I mean, realistically, the Special K, if we were to pick him up as a train-on player and sign him, realistically, he's not going to be ready for about 3 years minimum. Maybe I'm overshooting that, but Sims is kind of already at that level. So I think Sims would still stay ahead of him quite comfortably. But then in 3 or 4 years' time, when the Special K catches up, and Nank's retired by then, possibly, most likely, then maybe that's your 1-2 ruck combo. So that's maybe where it could end up being. A lot of love for the Jont in here. Shannon, Sammy Lawler could have a big year. I know I've said this in a couple of videos, but how big are his arms and his neck? He is an absolute unit at the moment, Sam Lawler. A lot of the boys, Steely Green, Caleb Smith, Morris, yeah, they're doing well out there. They're doing well. Yellow and Black hoping the Fonz finally breaks out. Vault Boys' new favourites, the Jonts. Yeah, one count. I mean, hey, there's every chance that Armstrong does become better. And that's why it was 2 excellent picks. Like, the fact we got both was bloody sensational. Or Leo's gone. Seth Campbell, 35 goal year. That would be good. That would be nice. Hawks gone for Tom Brown or Harry Armstrong or Gibbo. Hey, Gibbo's a good shout too. Gibbo, Josh Gibcus is a really good shout. A lot of intel coming through that he is in really good condition, really good headspace, really good belief in his body, and just really zoned into getting back to what he was. And it sort of shows. So I'm low-key really excited about Josh Gibcus. Widescreen, do you think Jonty not kicking goals is technique or fitness? It's a good question. I don't know if goal kicking was always a strength of his or not. I don't know. No doubt, though, to your point, no doubt that the fitness and fatigue side of things, as games got on and as the season got on, would have 100% played a part. There's no doubt about it. But, yeah, I mean, that's something that you got to remember as well, that he didn't even do a full pre-season last year because he had the stress fractures in the back. So this year is his first full AFL pre-season, and we could hopefully see the rewards of it. John's gone for Sammy Lawler. I haven't said, actually, Jones Racing, how are you, mate? I haven't actually seen the video yet, but someone did mention it earlier. Someone did mention it. I still reckon Nank's the fearless leader, surely. Lord, is Sim seen more as a Lynch replacement than a ruck? I think he was maybe drafted as a forward ruck, but I reckon the ruck rule change has maybe catapulted him up a little bit, and if he's grown a touch as well, into the ruck forward and could potentially take over and do both. I think he could be, yeah, your hybrid mobile ruckman, like a CDT, but a year older, essentially. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how we use him. It'll be interesting. Oh, widescreen's gone with Rioli to come top 5 in the BNF. Sign me up. Sign me up. Would love that. Does Short get pushed out of the 23? Well, let's have a look at that. Let's assume I click the right button here. There we go. Actually, before we do this, I want to ask a question. I don't know how many of you here in chat right now have been on or are from the Big Footy website, but to paint a bit of a picture, I'm looking at maybe doing a Tigercast sponsor or player sponsor on behalf of the Tigercast. So, like as in a Richmond player, of course. So each player can have 5 sponsors, and I've thought about putting it out there to see if there's an expression of interest from people, if people were happy or want or keen to chip in to have to be part of a player sponsor as the Tigercast. So how it would work is each share is $50. So that to sponsor a player, it's $1,750. Each share would be $50. So if you want to buy 1 share, it's 50, 2 shares, 100, so on and so forth. Each share equals a raffle ticket into a draw for the prizes or for the benefits that come with a player sponsor. So there's like a signed bit of apparel. So you'd go on, you'd have a ticket in the draw for that, just a random wheel spin. There's a player sponsor dinner, so however many shares you've got tickets in the draw for that. There's also an event put on. I remember one year we did lawn bowls with the player sponsors, so you'd have a ticket in the draw for that. So it's pretty much one big Tigercast community sponsoring a player at the Richmond Football Club, and then you get to go in the draw to hopefully be selected to go to one of those events or win one of those prizes. So if anyone's keen to do that, feel free to let me know. It's purely just an expression of interest, because if we are going to get enough numbers up, then it's not worth pursuing, obviously. But if there was enough interest and people were keen to help sponsor a player, then we can sort of go down that path and see what it all looks like. On the vid, Zane kicked 10. Yeah, I'm keen to see what Zane does, to be honest. Yeah, John, if Sims becomes the ruck, it does solve a problem. Agree. I think he's got the potential because of the ruck rule too. So, yeah, look, Taj, he doesn't have a clean kicking style, does he? But it's effective. It kind of gives him Brian Myers type ability to pull kicks and change angles of kicks easily and quickly to still get to the desired location without it looking completely sexy, if that makes sense. I'm kind of okay with that. But yeah, it's a little bit awkward, but it gets the job done. But yeah, if anyone's got any interest in player sponsorship, let us know. It can be by message or whatever it is. But yeah, here we go. We've got a team sheet here to try and help select our best 23 for round 1 against the Blues. I didn't make this, so I want to put that out there straight away. It was made for me by a viewer. I don't want to mention him in case he doesn't want to be mentioned, but I will also check once we're comfortable with how this works and is finalized, if he's happy for me to sort of put it out there for people to download and use as well, because it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to do, because it will actually, I'm clicking on my OBS screen. So you can go through and save the team for round 1. You can lock it in, and then when you make your change the next week, it'll tell you who's in and out. You can remove players by putting them on the medical list if they're injured. So you can do, quite a few cool little things here. But did somebody see my comment? Which one was yours, Phoenix? The best 23. Well, it's kind of happening. I'm not going to give away my 23 tonight, because that would then defeat the purpose of the Christmas videos. So, and December being a quieter month, I need to use those videos because I'll have nothing else to talk about for 23 days. But let's have a look at the back line first, because this is where I think there is the most bottleneck of selections. I think as a fullback, I feel like we're sort of talking about it's out of Noah Bolter and Ben Miller. I mean, you could technically throw Gibcus in there if you wanted to, but I don't know whether you would put Gibcus as fullback. I think though, no matter who's doing a best 22 or 23, I reckon that Bolter and Miller will almost categorically be centre half back and fullback. I think would be somewhat of a safe-ish assumption. Not that we like assuming things, but it does seem that way. But yeah, either. Ben Miller, Noah Bolter, whatever that might look like. Well, out of interest, I guess from a rebound football perspective, who do you think adds more value higher up the ground? Does Noah Bolter's sort of daring run and carry and 70-metre kick, is that more benefit coming from like that part of the ground to get it sort of further up to our 50, or is it better off coming from deeper? I know they can play anywhere. It's sort of a back six rather than set positions. But where do people think Bolter is better suited? Is he suited higher or deeper as the fullback? I mean, we can switch it to Miller based on that thesis. Like I said, though, they all kind of rotate and do what they've got to do anyway. So we've got Bolter at centre half back, Miller at fullback, taking care of the big boys. Keen for Miller to have another big year. I thought he's had a really good season. And I still feel like he was harshly judged and criticised. So hopefully he can step it up another notch again in 2026. This is where things get a little bit more tricky. What would everyone be going with for a back pocket? Again, back pocket, I know in a traditional sense, it's probably not how we use the player, but for the purpose of what a footy whiteboard looks like. Now, keep in mind, I've probably made this mistake already myself. I don't know if Nick Vlastuin will be there for round one. We haven't heard anything about him. Like, we heard he's been doing run-throughs today, so that's wonderful. But I just don't know whether he will be good to go for round one. So let's maybe assume he's not. Might be safer. Do you go broad deep? Do you go short in the back pocket? Banks we know is going to be higher. Tom Brown we think is going to be higher. Gibcus is going to be a candidate as well. Trezise would be higher. Smith would be higher. Trainer would be higher. And yeah, I'm not sure why he wouldn't be down there. I wouldn't have thought. I don't mind Gibcus being one, rising Phoenix. I think it's probably realistically out of Gibcus and Broad on the proviso that Vlastuin's not playing. Let's go Gibcus. WeWas and Harrison, it's not a website, it's actually a HTML program that was made for me. So once I know the person's happy that it's working exactly as it should, I'll ask permission if we're able to share it. It's pretty cool. Who's Zane? Zane Piker, our new recruit. So the other back pocket. So Vlastuin broke his leg like in the last round, wasn't it? Last couple of rounds. Yeah, so he's obviously had that, getting that fixed. But he was doing run-throughs today. The other one I didn't know about, apparently Sam Banks had a injured foot. So I didn't quite know that he was on restricted duties. Other back pocket. Again, it's not going to be... I'm almost wondering if it's Luke Trainer as the other back pocket. Second last versus North, thank you, Jones Racing. Or is it Nathan Broad? Who would you all prefer in the other back pocket? Broady, Short, or Luke Trainer? I kind of agree with you there, Anthony, about if not Vlastuin and Broad in the other back pocket. I mean, we can obviously tweak and change that. Yeah, there's still 4 months, John. I agree. I would just like a little bit of an update on how Vlastuin's tracking. All right, so we've got Noah Bolts locked in at the halfback spot, centre halfback. Halfback line. Look, I think it's safe to say Sam Banks will have one of those halfback spots. I don't think there'd be too many arguments there. Who fills the other halfback spot, though? Bolter could play second ruck. See, that's going to be interesting as well when we get to, I suppose, the later part of this side to see what that actually means and what it looks like. So, Tom Brown would definitely be a candidate for the other halfback role. Jaden Short, obviously a candidate for that role. Trezise, a candidate. Caleb Smith, probably to a lesser extent. Luke Trainer, maybe not so much. Even Sam Grill is a candidate, maybe as part of a rotation. I think Tom Brown seems to be getting the most comments. Make sure you drop the names in the chat. I'm kind of going to try and go with an average. But it looks like Brown's probably favourable at the moment. Or maybe we can do a poll. Where is my other screen? Let's do a poll. Halfback spot 2. That's how you spell Tom Brown. Tom Brown. Jaden Short. Luke Trainer. All right. The poll is in the chat. Who are we picking for the second halfback spot? Tom Brown, Jaden Short, Luke Trainer. We'll give it a minute or two. Get your votes in. Use the wheel. Good dude. Tomorrow, 100 days till round 1. Jesus. Get your votes in. Tom Brown seemingly leading the way at the moment. But yeah, I don't know how many of you have tried to pick a best 23, but it gets increasingly more difficult as the positions move further up the ground. Jesse, where I would normally say yes, we're working on the proviso that Vlosten's not playing because of the injury that he's got at the moment. So it's not confirmed, but it's not confirmed either. So I'd rather err on the side of that he's not playing than playing, because we just don't know enough about the recovery at the moment, and just being his age as well, I kind of feel like we'll be a bit cautious. I know there's a hell of a long time between now and round 1, but he's just started doing run through, so there's a little bit of catch up. All right, we're going to end that poll. Tom Brown is the winner for the other halfback. Tom Brown. So, look, Ruck, I think we can plug in Toby Nankervis. I don't think that's going to be too much of a shock factor. Yeah, broke the leg in the North Melbourne game. So he's had surgery to get all that sorted. And yeah, we just don't know where he's going to be at. So hopefully we get an update on that one. Let's go with the wings first. The wings are another tricky spot in terms of who can go on there. So let's do another poll. So who plays on the wing? Who will we put on there? Luke Trainer. So we'll do this for one wing, and then maybe we'll do a different one for another wing. Hugo, or maybe if it will let me add another option. All right. Well, we've got 4 options for the wing. The top two winners of the poll will occupy a wing spot each. So we've got Luke Trainer, which I don't think is really going to work, but we've got Luke Trainer, Patrick Rechko, Sam Grill, Hugo, Ralph Smith. Let's vote for our wingers. Who are we going to have? 2 wing spots. Get your votes in, folks. Yeah, we'll know a bit more. That's right, John. It would be nice to get an injury report update, though. Not going to lie. Who plays on small forwards? Well, by default, it'll have to be Broad. I take your point, though, and that's why, John, that's why I've been a little bit of a believer that Ryan Mansell could be redeployed as a small defender. I do think that we have a bit of a need for that, and I think he could fill that role. So, yeah. I'm kind of buying into that. Or to close poll, we'll leave it open for another minute or two. Who's playing on the wing? Get your votes in chat. Yeah, one count. It's interesting. Like, we've got good depth, but a lot of it's untried and unknown depth as well. But we need to get games into them, so I guess it's hard trying to find that balance. And I think Grill will be starting half back. Yeah, possibly Phoenix. Yeah, rotating onto the wing. Can see that happening. It's good to see that he's lighting up training with his speed and agility. I know, Juddy Clark rational. I'm with you 100%. For me, Juddy Clark is the prime candidate for the wing if he was, sort of out there playing. 30 seconds left for the poll. Get your votes in. 31 votes so far. We've got 109 people watching. Get your votes in. Picking our wingers. The 2 highest vote getters will be on the wing. Yeah, Jesse, the hardest spot. Well, yeah, the wings, and also I reckon even the forward line's getting tricky now. All right, poll is ending. So, based on that, Rechko gets a wing spot with 34%. Oh, well, we're going to have to go to a revote for Sam Grill and Hugo Ralph Smith. Jesus. All right. Try again. Final wing spot. Oops. All right, new poll incoming. Final wing spot because Hugo and Sam Grill were tied on 27% each. We do need to break the deadlock. We need to break it. So whoever wins out of those two gentlemen will occupy the other wing. Interesting suggestion with Fawcett on the wing. I'm not totally across what his running capacity is like. I do get the appeal to having a big winger, though. I mean, I've said that I can see, and maybe I'm batshit crazy, but that Josh Smiley, if he was to get the tank built up, which it looked like he was doing before the quad injury, could be kind of like what Dan Curtin is. Nice to have as many options for the wing now. I mean, look, some of them are untried, I guess. We're sort of picking in hope more than anything, but it is nice. Bolter on wing, says Law Dog. Grilled a half back. I don't mind it personally. I know the club won't do that, though. I think they've pretty much knocked it on the head that Bolter will be a defender. So it's not a website hawk. It's a HTML program that was built for me. So I won't drop the person's name in case he doesn't want to be mentioned, but he's been awesome at putting together a few sort of, little program things to use. And once we know it's working 100% how it should, we will. I'll ask if he's happy for it to be shared and whatnot. And said that's an idea too, that Hugo and Grill could swap from halfback to wing. All right, we're going to end the poll. I haven't seen what the score is or what the votes are. Oh, Sam Grill runs away with it with 61%. Hugo with 39%. Sam Grill on the other wing, making his debut in round one. Hey, it could happen. It could happen. It's not that far-fetched, I wouldn't have thought. But to one of the points made in here, that if Hugo's not playing on the wing, what does that mean for his football aspirations, if you want to call it that? I still think Hugo is quite valuable on the wing. I think his attacking prowess is really good. He's actually got good aerial ability. And I see a lot of K-Mac in him as well, how he wins and halves those one-on-one contests that he probably shouldn't have the right to. And I really rate that highly. So I think he'll probably end up featuring early in the season, and Grill may start at halfback, but then you can rotate him. And I think that's the beauty of having a few players in your lineup that can play multiple positions. Don't disagree, Shane, but the votes were the votes. There was still about 70 people who didn't vote, and it could have been the difference between Hugo on the wing or not. But no, I still think he will. IRL, I think he'll be on the wing. Rover. Don't know how to best poll this. Because you only put 4 names in. Well, let's start with the first 4. We go Rover position. We're going to go Tim Taranto. Oh. Jacob Hopper. Dion Prestia. So this is just for the Rover position. So Tim Taranto, Jacob Hopper, Dion Prestia, Jack Ross. I'll include Lawler and a couple of others in the other spots. But yeah, we'll do the Rover one first. Who would you put in as the Rover? And it's all kind of the same. So yeah, lovely and experienced swingers, Greystoke. I actually don't mind it. Truthfully, I think Rechko will play round 1. I am really convinced of that, rightly or wrongly, but I think that he will be there. Yeah, Sarge, I think what people get frustrated about with Hugo is his defensive side of the game, and I get it, and I probably agree, but I do think that he's still got a lot to offer offensively, and I think there's still some really attractive traits in his game that benefit the side that I think he'll find himself playing. Need to put Jack in the 18. As in Jack Ross. Well, it depends if he gets voted for. This is all of your team, not mine. All of your team. Chain Lord to the goalpost. Yeah, look, Taranto will probably be an instant inclusion. We'll give the poll another 30 seconds. How many votes we got? 34 votes. Get your votes in. Get your votes in. There is a runaway winner, so it'll take something extraordinary to not have him in there. Is that right, Rational Roman? After 4 games at Royce Hart was peak for Victoria. I did not know that. There you go. All right, I think we've seen enough. Tim Taranto, he's the first one in as the rover. So, for the ruck rover position, so we'll do Dion Prestia, Jacob Hopper, Jack Ross, Sam Lawler. Oh, I mean, the rover, ruck rover, it doesn't really matter, does it? It's all the same. Next poll is up for the ruck rover position. And it's hard because you can only put 4 names in there, so it would have been good to have had players like Houghton, McAuliffe, but I cannot put... Maybe I'll do that for the last one. Because I think whichever one's out of this batch here don't get it would probably start on the bench or maybe another spot on the ground. Yeah, exactly right, Shane. Look, I'll be honest. I think we need to brace ourselves to see Prestia, Taranto and Hopper in the middle at the start of the year. I think we'll see it change as the year goes on. I'll truthfully be shocked if we see a different round 1 centre bounce lineup than that. I'd be shocked. In a good way. And I hope we do. Because it would be nice to see a bit more of a blend in there. And I think it's like vital for our progression to have that mix changed. Because it clearly just didn't work. I know, it's very old school, isn't it, Ruck Rover? 32 votes in. We'll leave it open for another 30 seconds to a minute. Get your votes in the YouTube poll. So I think essentially, maybe not so much with Sam Lawler in this instance, but with the other 3, with Prestia, Hopper and Jack Ross, whoever doesn't get this position, I think has to start on the bench or find a different spot. And this is where it gets hard to be able to fit all these players in when you're trying to get experience and things like that into players as well. All right, well, in the poll, 32 votes are in. Jacob Hopper won the battle. Ruck Rover. So for the centre spot, the centre will add... I'm going to go a bit more of the younger crew for the centre spot because because of the blend. So we'll go Sam Lawler, Taj Houghton, Kane McAuliffe, and Jack Ross. Well, it's not CBAs anymore either because they're bloody throwing it up. What do we call it? So the final centre spot, who are we going with? Bit of a younger flavour. So you got Tim Taranto, Jacob Hopper, Toby Nankervis, and rounding it out with one more. Some pretty good options in there. Sam Lawler, Taj Houghton, Kane McAuliffe, Jack Ross. All offer different things. And I think all will ultimately end up rolling through there at various stages. I mean, this would be just purely for the start of the game. Yeah. Other than that, you'd see it mixed up a little bit. Anthony instantly selected Taj. 27 votes. Don't be shy, folks. Don't be shy. Have your say on who's going to be in the centre. Yeah, Jones Racing. That's right. Yes, CV might throw his TV through the window. 29 votes. Oh, it's close. It's close. Keep voting, folks. Keep voting. Kane McAuliffe has just taken the lead here. It's now a tie. 31 votes. Let's try and get to 40 votes. Right, Rovies. It's funny how the footy positions have stayed the same, but they're all almost meaningless, aren't they? Like when you see, once the ball's thrown up or bounced, whatever you want to call it, everyone's just in the one half of the ground, aren't they? It actually almost gets a bit ugly at times. Shane, I agree. I really do think that Seth Campbell is getting primed for, let's call it a Kane Lambert type role, sort of playing in between the arcs. And Kane McAuliffe is having a good preseason so far. 36 votes. We'll keep it open for another minute because it's really tight at the top. Interesting selection. Coming... Yeah, I don't know whether... See, this is where it gets tricky, isn't it? Because I don't know whether he'll see a lot of midfield minutes. Just because we've got Lawler to give minutes to, Houghton, Campbell, Kane McAuliffe, Jack Ross, Smiley when he comes in. It's going to be interesting to see how we make it work. That's right, Grace. I won't go around to people's houses. No. All right, I'll end the poll there. Sammy Lawler has pipped Kane McAuliffe at the post. 43%, Kane McAuliffe 38, Tash Houghton 11, Jack Ross 8. So we'll give it to Sammy Lawler. Log on blind. Oh, there he is. Sam Lawler. So that rounds out the midfield. So then Curvis, Grill, Lawler, Rechko, Taranto, Hopper. Don't mind it. I did see a comment that is there maybe a question mark on Lawler's speed not being as high, especially because Taranto and Hopper isn't either. I think it's a really good point. And that's maybe where the consideration might go to to Houghton. McCall's probably a bit quicker than all of them as well. So that's where I think we have to get the balance right. Okay, half forward. Half forward will be an interesting one too. I'm trying to map out who we can put in here. Half forward, spot 1. So let's go Tash Houghton. Any other candidates for half forward? Because there's 2 spots, so throw some names out. I'm going to go Tash Houghton, Seth Campbell. I'm going to go Jasper Elgar. And I'm going to go... Who else would be another one? We'll go Ryan Mansell. And sort of... Like the half forward can probably almost double as a forward pocket as well. So there's the first poll. For the first half forward position, who are we going with? Tash Houghton, Seth Campbell, Jasper Elgar, Ryan Mansell. A lot of love for Seth, a lot of love for Rioli. So he'd be another one. See, this is where it gets tricky because it's a front 6, like a back 6, but widescreen, I don't see Ross as a half forward. I don't think he does the job as well as what the other guys would do. It's not a natural position for him. Unfortunately for him, he does, sort of unfortunate but fortunate, like he does his best work as an inside midfielder. The problem he's got is there's a lot of other guys competing for the same spot. I just don't know if he's the best option for a half forward line. I can put him in the mix. I don't see it personally, but that's not to say it's not the right thing to do. It could very well be. Or half forward spot number 1. It's a 2-horse race at the moment. 30 votes in. Tash Houghton, Seth Campbell leading the way. Jasper Elgar and Ryan Mansell yet to poll a vote. My man Jasper, Jesus, I might just have to just put him in just cause. $33 votes. It's tightening up at the top. Like I said before, I do think that Mansell could get redeployed. Just a vibe. All right, end poll. Seth Campbell gets the first spots. Oh, Seth, there you go. So the other half forward spot, half forward position number 2. We've got Taj again. Morris Jr. Steely Green. I'll go Jack Ross as well, just because it's been thrown out there for the other half forward spots. And that, yeah, Lord, and that's where it's interesting, isn't it? Because Mansell is tough, isn't he? Like, he's just no nonsense, no bullshit type player. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, really, it's up to the young kids to force players out of the side. So I think he's probably got the runs on the board at the moment. But I think there's definitely some hot competition for spots. Look, I felt it might have been as well, Anthony, but I thought we'd run it just in case, just to see what happens. I mean, I was close to just clicking on the name and dropping him in, but maybe there might have been a change of heart for some people. Jack Ross getting some love. Morris Jr. some love. Taj Houghton getting a lot of love. Probably no point dragging that poll out. Taj Houghton gets the other half forward spots, which I like. Centre half forward. Centre half forward, I feel like there is an obvious one as well. But people may have different views. So we'll go Jonty Fall. Whoops. Jonty Fall. Harry Armstrong. Tom Lynch. I'm also basing this off Sims not being available with the navicular injury. Yeah, I should slot into the forward pocket there, James Racing. There's no reason why that couldn't happen. Centre half forward spot. Who are we going? Jonty Fall, Harry Armstrong, Tom Lynch, Liam Fawcett. And I know we talk about a forward 6 and a back 6, but I do think the centre half forward position is a very specific and particular role within that forward 6. I do think they're very much that link up man between the arcs. A lot of power running, and it's a really, really important role and one that we have to lock down. If John doesn't get this grok, he may do some house visits. He might. Fall more of a full forward in your opinion, Anthony? I can see it. Like I don't necessarily disagree. I think the ultimate beauty of Armstrong and Fall is I really do think they can both play that role, that centre half forward role. So there's a bit of chopping and changing that probably can be done, probably depending on matchup. Whoever's got the more favourable matchup, maybe we keep them deeper so they're a bit more closer to goal, put the opponent under a bit more pressure, try and drag out the better defender, whoever that may be. So I think we'll end up having some options. But yeah, they're exciting. They're bloody exciting prospects. 26 votes. Look, I can't see Harry Armstrong catching him, to be honest. So Jonty Fall has got the nod for centre half forward. We'll go full forward. We'll go full forward next. Full forward. Whoops. Jesus. Tom Lynch. Harry Armstrong. Liam Fawcett. And some people might go a different path. And McKelty Lafau. I've thrown Celts in there for full forward. Get your votes in for the full forward spots. Shane, it might be an unpopular opinion, but I'd love to see Steely Green in the side. He's quick, has a crack, reminds me of Liam Baker. Yeah, he's a tough one, isn't he? I know he played a lot of AFL games last year, but he just didn't seem to quite click for him, did it? But then he went back to the VFL, and had a really good stretch of games, kicked multiple goals, got good disposal numbers, and sort of played himself back into form, which was good. I just don't know. I don't know if he's ahead of some of the other players. It's a really difficult one. He's obviously gone to work on himself on the off-season and put on some serious size, which has been impressive. But then, how does it translate to game day, I guess, is the big question. 29 votes in so far. Can't see this one ending in any other way. Tom Lynch, the full forward. So my only caveat to Tom Lynch playing full forward is whenever the opposition's kicking out or if they've got a mark deep in defensive 50, Tom Lynch cannot be that player. He cannot be the highest player in our line. He needs to be shuffled further down and let someone else with speed stand the mark, because otherwise the opposition, they get to run like 25 metres uncontested to get the ball down to the wing. So that's my only caveat there. They got to tweak that. Forward pockets. Again, there's becoming a little bit of depth here as well. So we go Ryan Mansell for a forward pocket. Jasper Alga. I'm going to include Harry Armstrong because I think he's genuinely in the mix. And Steely Green. So this is where I guess there could be a bit of a bottleneck with positions as well. Piker long term, for sure. I think he'll be in the mix. I just think being 17 years old or like very, very young, very similar to Jasper Alga, that it's probably trickier to see game time happening earlier. And Ry Geeshan sort of said as much in his chat that Piker would be a bit of a slower burn, but they're very excited about where he's going to end up. So longer term, like when we're talking about next year, or like 27, 28, it's going to be even more fascinating to see what comes of it in the forward pocket. And like, look, it's still a pretty inexperienced part of the ground, isn't it? But they're gradually getting games under their belt, and if we can improve our delivery to the forwards, we might be half a chance. Where's Jake Arts? I know, for CB. Mansell on 19%. We've got 26 votes in. We'll keep it open for another 30 seconds to a minute. Jasper Alga, 23%. Harry Armstrong, 50%. Steely Green, 8%. Jonty is a forward pocket. They'll all rotate around. Jonty for 30 goals. 30 votes are in. Armstrong still just leading the way. Jasper Alga slowly catching. Hawkey missed Jake Arts. I think he's playing for Beaconsfield now, isn't he? Change Racing, 29 players under 50 games. I know, that's leather in danger areas. It's a pretty good number, isn't it? Like, I know it could take a while for it to all sort of click, but it's going to be a fun ride watching all these kids come through. All right, Harry Armstrong is the winner of the first... I picked the wrong player. Of the first forward pocket position. So the other forward pocket position 2. So we'll go Jasper, Morris Jr., Ryan Mansell, Steely Green for the final forward pocket spot. Paul Balcombe. Could McAuliffe play wing? He could. I feel like, again, that he probably does his best work in the centre square, but there's probably less of a body of work to confirm or deny that, I suppose. So maybe it's worth a try. I'd love to see Kane McAuliffe get 15 to 20 games this year. And yeah, look, playing 2 first games is probably unlikely. That was just how the votes fell in terms of everyone voting in chat on who's getting what position. That's how it fell. I do think the Retro will play round 1 on a wing. I'm almost convinced of it. That's how much I'm buying in. It was just too specific of a trade of a player type who is eerily similar to the player we just had there that we liked in that role. It just is too similar. Yeah, vote Jasper. Vote Jasper or the stream's ending. Rioli's in very good shape, James Racing. I've been suitably impressed with how Morris has come back from pre-season. Is it the age-old the pennies dropped? That's typically the way it sort of goes. I would love for him to have a massive year. Would love for it to happen. And Liam, there's undoubtedly a bit of a blend of both. Trying to pick a team that's fully functional and cohesive versus the players you want to see playing. I think it's not far off, though. I don't think it's too far off the mark. That's right. He won the Bronco run or whatever it's called, Jones Racing. Yeah, I think we just value that gut running extraordinarily high. And yeah, I just won't be shocked if he's playing. 35 votes. It's tied at the top for Jasper Elga, Morris Jr., Ryan Mansell. It's actually quite close for the top 3. Where's Collier Dawkins? Last I heard, he was working at Rebel Sport in Chadstone. I'm not sure where he's playing footy, though. Oh, it's tight. It's tight. I'll do a countdown for the end of this vote. No, final 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. End poll. Oh, Jasper got in by 38%. Well done. Well done, everybody. Jasper Elga. Good selection. Good selection. Look, very, very close between Jasper and Morris Jr. And I think whichever one was starting on the field, I feel like, and we'll find out shortly, the other would be on the bench. Fraser Turner. Interchange. I don't know how we are best to do this, but if we're looking at the side, well, polls may not necessarily work, but I think looking at what we've got here, I feel very comfortable in saying that... Where is he? Where is... I feel ultra, tough word to say, comfortable in saying Luke Traynor would be one of the interchange players in this example. Would we all agree with that? Luke Traynor as one of the interchange, I think, would be thereabouts. Interchange spot 2. I mean, if we look at who's still left to be picked, right, it feels like Dion Presti is going to... I know that might not be what everyone necessarily wants as a collective if you were doing a vote, but he'll probably be there. Jaden Short, you think is going to be a chance. Ross, Mansell, Hugo, Morris Jr., McAuliffe. Like, there's going to be some players. And Paul, just for clarity quickly, Vlosten's only not in because we're assuming he's not playing round 1 because of his injury. That's it. So, and we're assuming that Sims isn't playing either. Actually, in fact, you know what? Because I've got the actual feature there to do that. Give me a second. So, Thomas Sims, I reckon, is going to be out. Nick Vlosten, I think, will be out too. No, we did leave him out apps, but only because of the current injury. We're just not sure where he's at, so safer to say he's not playing than playing. So if we've got that to pick from, I don't mind the McAuliffe shout. yeah, Sims with the bloody navicular. Bloody frustrating. I think we're going to have to we'll do another poll because we can kind of narrow it down with a couple of the spots. maybe we'll do this for 2 of the bench spots. Kane McAuliffe, Jack Ross, Morris Jr., and who else can I put in there? Jaden Short. Okay, so let's do the first 2 2 of the bench spots. We reckon Luke Trainer will lock in one. Absolutely. I cannot see him not playing. So let's lock in 2 more of the bench spots. Top 2 percentages will get a spot. But like when you start doing this type of exercise and you can see that list, it does give you a warm, fuzzy feeling that we do have what's starting to feel like a little bit of depth. I know they've all got to develop and come on, but if they get to what we think they're going to be, it's a pretty exciting time. Wings on debut. I mean, look, Grill might be the only one that's questionable, but you could quite easily swap him out for Hugo Ralsmith in the short term, I think. It's still very inexperienced. Even if it was Hugo Ralsmith and Rechko, that's still not many games between them. Has Hugo played more than 50? Not sure if he has. Had a couple of the major injuries as well. Oh, it's tight. It's tight. 26 votes. Let's try and get to 40 or 50 votes so we get a really meaningful gauge on who should take these 2 interchange spots. We've got 28 votes so far for the next 2 interchange spots. Kane McAuliffe, Jack Ross, Morris Jr., Jaden Short. Yeah, best 23 using under 23 players. Yep, can definitely be one. And that side's going to start looking good too. So you go at 62. There you go. Touch over 60. 62 games for Hugo. So I do think he'll get the nod round 1, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Long term though, it's on Grill and others to push him out of the spot, I suppose. But I think Grill will end up starting at halfback, which will be equally as electric. 32 votes in. We'll go for another minute. Who is filling 2 of the bench spots? 32 votes in. Kane McAuliffe, Jack Ross, Morris Jr., Jaden Short. Will, it was a HTML program that was made for me, so it's not a website or anything. Once the person who made it is comfortable that it's fully functioning as it should, I'll ask if he's happy for it to be shared so other people can use it as well. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So I do plan on using this for a few videos and during the year as well. Maybe even for the live Monday night shows too. Severe lack of vowels on the wing. Yeah, Cummings going to be thereabouts, isn't he? It's a hard one to gauge. If Grill was to start at halfback, hypothetically, I think he would replace Tom Brown. And that's not to say that Tom Brown would be out of the side. I just think Tom Brown would maybe be redeployed. He could play on a wing, in my opinion, or Brown would start on a bench, or Grill would start on the bench and swap with Tom Brown. Either way, I think that's where the rotation would be. But I wouldn't be against Brown being used higher up the ground to utilise his kicking a bit more. All right, poll has ended. The first 2 bench spots go to Kane McAuliffe, gets 1, which I think's a really good shout. Where is he? Kane McAuliffe. And Jaden Short with 24%. All right, last 2 wing spots. Dude, this is everyone voting. Dr. Vol. So make sure you have your say for the last two bench spots. So bench spot times 2. Morris Jr. Jack Ross. Who else have we got for a potential spot? Hugo Ralsmith. It's hard because I can only put 4 options here, which is annoying. Who's one more? Here we go. I'm gonna. I know. I'm putting in there for the 4th. There's the 4th. This would be great for the Monday Night Live show. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm going to use it for the Monday night show because, like I said, I can put in the team that played Carlton round 1, and then when we do changes on the next week, it'll show in the ins and outs who's in and out. It's pretty cool. Will I think Lynch should play centre half forward? 4 goes full forward. Possibly, and it's really exciting to hear that Lynch is running really well, coming back fitter and stronger, which is good. I guess it's just about how we manage him throughout the year too. Grayslake, Prestia and Gray? Possibly. I'm not sure Gray will be from the start. Because if Gray's in from the start, it would mean that Gibcus or Miller aren't. And I can't see that happening. Alga starting because he won in the poll. And I think he will too. I hope he will. I think he's going to be a real dark horse for one of our most improved players. Just strong vibes on Jasper Alga. And Mansell may play, but everyone had their chance to vote for him 3 times and no one selected him. So I think in IRL he'll probably get the nod, but interesting that he was passed over on 3 different positions. Well, Jin, I think that's the $1 million question. I think it's all about balance. I think you've got to give the young kids a go whilst also surrounding them with some experience to nurture them through. But it does show we have some depth in positions. But depth, I suppose the definition of depth is, it just varies. Like our depth is inexperienced depth that we need to give games to in a lot of cases. But it'll be interesting to see how we sort of manage that during the year. Yeah, or everyone had plenty of chances to vote for Prestia and Mansell, and they all got passed over. I mean, look, popularity contests don't always equal what is the right balance for the team, and I think we all know in our heart of hearts that come round 1, Prestia and Mansell will be out there almost categorically. So I don't think there's any doubting that at all. James Racing with Seth, possibly taking on Lambert role. Does Alga take Seth's old role? That's how I kind of see it, yeah. Yeah, I think Seth is going to play higher up the ground and be a bit of a link man between the arcs and use his speed to try and break some lines, which I think will suit him really, really well. And then Jasper, I think, could then play the Seth role. I think that's a really good win on both fronts. Can we do an all-time Richmond lineup? I don't know. I don't know how easy it was for this to be made and how easy it would be to populate all the data in different positions. I'd have to ask and see if it's at all doable or not. But there could be something we can do in that space even without using this to find a way to do it. I'll have to have a think about how it could work. With that said, I'll end the poll because I forgot it was still going. Last 2 bench spots, Morris Jr. and Jack Ross. Morris Jr. Oh, no, Jack Ross. Doesn't matter which way we go. And Morris Jr. So there you go. That is the best 23 is voted for in chat. I know there's a couple at the start we didn't vote for, but they seem pretty self-explanatory with Bolter and Miller. But backline, Broad, Miller, Gibcus, halfbacks, Tom Brown, Bolter, Sam Banks, Grill and Rechko on the wing, the 2 debutants, Nankervis, Rucking, Sammy Lawler, Taranto, Hopper in the middle, Seth Campbell, Jonty Fall, Tash Houghton in the half-forward line, Harry Armstrong, Lynch and Alga in the full-forward line, Luke Traynor, McAuliffe, Short, Ross and Morris Rioli on the interchange. Vloston is not there, Doctor, because we are assuming he's not playing because of his injury. He's only just started running, so that's why he's not there, and also why Tom Sims wasn't included as well. So easier to assume they're not playing than playing. But that's not a bad side. I mean, there's some serious players that aren't playing, right? Like, you got Dion Presti not in there, Ryan Mansell, Hugo Ralph Smith. So I think despite what we've just voted on, we know that the first three are probably going to be there at round one, IRL. Samson Ryan, well, he's only going to play if Nank's not playing. Tyler Sonzi, it's on him to be bashing the door down. It's going to be really tricky for him to find a way in and stay in consistently, although I do love his ball use. I'd like to find a spot for him. Juddy Clark, obviously with injury, but I still think that long term he has a role to play on the wing. James Trezise, we know, has played at AFL level and can do a job. McKelty, we know, can come in and do a job. Is going to struggle with the depth of the forward line. Kane McAuliffe, we did have. It's because I've clicked on his name, so he's on the bench there. Steely Green, had some good numbers at VFL level. Will it translate again to AFL level? There's going to be some competition for spots in his part of the world. Campbell Gray, we know, looks comfortable at AFL level, but who does he replace? It's pretty much out of Gibcus, Miller, and Bolter. So they're going to be really hard to dislodge. But again, it's good to have backup. It's good to have competition. Caleb Smith is probably going to struggle to break into the half-back line, especially now we've got Sam Grill on board as well. So yeah, that will be interesting to see what happens there. And like Josh Smiley, I mean, I know we haven't seen him play yet, but if we just think about quickly what we saw of him in the under-18s and what we're projecting him to be like, when he's fit and firing, he's going to be back training in January and still a probable chance for round one, all things going well. He probably has to fit in as well. In real life, he'll fit in somewhere into the round one mix, potentially. If not round one, hopefully by round 3, 4, or 5. Liam Fawcett, another one who's going to be trying to crack in. Hayes Brown's obviously a backup. Sam Cumming, I mean, he'll be in the mix. I don't know how he forces himself ahead of the other players, but he will be in the mix, you would have to suggest. And Zane Piker is probably a little bit further away just because of his age, like what Jasper was last year, so that's okay. Paul, we're not too sure how long Vlosten's out for. I'd love to get a bit of an update from the club on it. So it was great to hear that he was running today, though. I just don't know what happens there. Who would be backup ruck in this team? So I would hazard a guess. If I was coach, if I was putting my coaching hat on, when Nank had to come off the ground, Noah Bolter goes into the ruck. I should do it on this screen. Noah Bolter would go into the ruck. Luke Traynor would come onto the ground to play in the back line, and you'd probably put Gibcus up on the taller player at centre half back. Luke Traynor slots into the back pocket, and you have Noah Bolter rucking for 5 to 7 minutes, which I actually don't mind him as a bit of a headless chook. But this is where it's interesting. On that 5th interchange spot, will teams go with a genuine second ruckman? Is that where a Sims, when available, gets a gig, a Samson Ryan, a Hayes Brown probably less likely, or does McKelty Lafau play as the second ruck because he's done it at the VFL to get him into the side? Like, there's a few different ways that could look. It will be interesting to see if we go the hybrid version for extra speed or if we go to traditional ruckman. Teams are going to try both. I think we'll try both at some stage, and that's going to be the interesting part of the 5th spot. But yeah, I would have Bolter ruck, Gibcus to centre half forward, and Luke Traynor to back pocket if I was coaching. And Grace, 100%, good players missing out is absolutely a good thing. You want competition for spots. Is Sims ruck forward? I think he started off as forward ruck, but I think the ruck rule changing, I think, is maybe reconsidered their view to be a ruck forward. And if the big special K can stay on as a player after he's trained on and he comes on, they could be the 1-2 ruck combo in 4 or 5 years. And like to Paul's point as well, I know we'd all love to get Zach Butters, of course, but whether that plays out or not, who knows. But you look at this side now, we've looked at the players who are missing. Well, not missing, but who didn't make it based on the vote, who will probably still be there. But that's not considering who we draft next year, who we trade or get in from free agency most likely next year or 2027. Like, there's so much room for growth within this side, not only with the youngsters coming through, but then the older players that you start to sprinkle in to add a bit of flavour at the end. It's an exciting time. And, if you were trying to sell a vision to a good player wanting to move clubs, if you put aside the win-loss column, I think you have enough to work with here to sell the vision of what it could look like in 3, 4, 5 years, and they could be a part of it. So I don't think it's as far-fetched as what people may sometimes think in relation to, to getting a big name across. Maybe it's not next year, maybe it's the year after, but it's not too far-fetched. Oh, Damon, I think you can. You got to remember as well, you got Josh Gibcus down there, that there's no reason why during the quarter that Gibcus couldn't roll up to centre-half back and bowl to rest a bit more deep. Like, there's ways to work that between the three talls. There's ways to work it quite easily, I reckon. Liam, the chopping block. Well, we did a bit of a video on this, but there's 20 players out of contract at the end of the year. So there's a lot of players who are playing for their career, quite literally. But I mean, players like Sonzi, I hate saying it, but Juddy Clark, I would love to give Juddy Clark another year. I want to see him playing. Sealy Green, Caleb Smith, Fawcett. Yeah, players like that. It's going to be hard. There's going to be some unlucky players come the end of the year who'll end up getting sort of delisted or want other opportunities. And that's what I think might happen a little bit too. It might not be so much a case of us delisting players, but it could be more of a case of players wanting to get opportunity elsewhere because of the depth we kind of just got a glimpse of in certain spots, that it might be a bit more difficult to crack into that position. So it'll be interesting to see what we do come into the year. Jones Racing, I wouldn't be shocked if we do extend some contracts to just avoid the whole Tassie kerfuffle. Well, I guess what will be interesting is what we do with the Tassie players that we've got, and if they extend. That'll be fairly telling, I reckon. But there you go, something a bit different. Appreciate everyone jumping on to vote for their best 23. It's a fun exercise. And you know what? If we did this again in 3 or 4 weeks' time after a bit more of pre-seasons known, we've seen a bit more footage and things like that, it probably looks different. Different players might get voted in. It's really fascinating. So maybe we will. Maybe we revisit it down the track. But good fun to have everyone on tonight. I appreciate you jumping on with zero notice, mind you. So I appreciate all of your support and seeing the live pop up and coming on for a chat and for casting your votes. Hopefully you'll have a bit of fun, just a bit of a different exercise to do. Keep an eye out for, I suppose, the videos coming over the next 23 days, 22 days, what my 22 is. So, day number 2 is coming out tomorrow, which will be good. I don't know whether there'll be as many lives or as many videos this month. It's a bit of a lighter on month with things that are happening. I am hoping there's still one more thing to happen with the club this year. It was spoken about. I'm just trying to check whether it's still a thing and going ahead or not. And it'll be pretty cool if it does. And it actually could involve what we just did. So I'll sort of leave it at that, and I'll wait to hear back if it's going ahead or not. But appreciate all the positive feedback as well on the Rye Geesh interview. The club do see and sort of hear all that, and that, I suppose, that ends up being a little bit of the catalyst of being able to get a bit more access, a bit more information, and organise a few more things to help link fans and the club. It's been really, really good so far. Could we do it for the Festivus set? We could. Yeah, we could. We could do it for the Festivus set. I've got to make sure the boys are lined up for that one and make sure they've got all their grievances in order. So have a wonderful night there, everybody. Thank you so much again for tuning in. We will do a Festivus live. I'll do some other random lives throughout December as well, no doubt, just when random things pop up that are worth talking about. So keep an eye out for it. Other than that, get around the YouTube, have a chat on Twitter, do whatever. And until the next one, go Tigers.